Good morning, everybody. We are so excited to be here with you today. We'd like to thank you so much for being here. We do understand we kind of got you right before lunchtime, and I hate to break it to you, but we are going to be talking about food today, so try not to get too hungry during the presentation. To start off today, I kind of want to talk about this statement we have up here. You are what you eat. I'm sure your parents maybe used to say this to you when you kind of struggled with your vegetables. I know mine did. But what I really want to talk about was, does this statement really make sense in 2020? With the introduction of genetically modified foods, the over-processing of foods that we've previously associated with being completely natural, as well as the aggressive food marketing tactics, the average consumer is left feeling confused, they're fearful, and they're unsure how to make decisions about their own nutrition and their own health. We didn't feel right about this. Hi, my name is Megan. I am the CEO of Seafood Incorporated, and with me today are my colleagues Jeremy, our Chief Operations Officer, and Zach, our Chief Financial Officer. We are so excited to share with you today our plans to move the nutrition and plant-based protein industry into 2021. So, what do we do? We're kind of looking at the industry. One thing that we found very interesting was that 54% of consumers actually really consider where their food was sourced from when making a purchase decision. So when you go into a store and you're maybe trying to purchase a banana, you might have a general idea of which country this banana came from, but you don't really have any information about when that banana was picked, maybe the travel it took to actually get to the store that you're purchasing it from, as well as the many number of different facilities that this banana was actually stored in on its way to you. So as we began delving a little bit further into what these consumers are looking for, we wanted to kind of create an idea of what this consumer actually looks like. So with that, I would like to introduce you to Jenny. Jenny is a recent university graduate, and she is an articling student. As many of you know, articling students don't make that much money right off the bat, so if that's a hit for you, just to really reiterate, she does have some budget constraints. She is truly the average consumer. And she does dabble with some beyond-based products and plant-based products. So as we're seeing lately, some of the big fast food corporations such as A&W and McDonald's are kind of starting to play in this space. And a lot of the average consumers are also trying to go with them a little bit. However, they're just curious. As you can see here, I put she's healthy, curious. I'm sure this fits a lot of us. She's curious about making healthier decisions. But again, as I mentioned previously, she doesn't really have a great knowledge base to go off of, and she's looking for more information to make more informed decisions. So, where does Seafood Inc. fit into all of this? Seafood Incorporated provides the average consumer the opportunity to make a conscious decision about their food choices with no added cost. I put the average consumer for a reason. We understand that consumers with more resources available to them have the power to make more informed decisions as they can afford meal service kits and they can afford those organic choices, whereas the average consumer cannot, and we do not believe that that's fair. So, as we went into this, we kind of were thinking, why does this not exist already? Why does Seafood Inc. not exist? Well, what we found out was that food manufacturers are actually working very hard to make this information available to the average consumer. As I mentioned, that's Jenny. However, they don't have the data and the resources available to them to actually make this available. So, that is exactly where Seafood comes in. I'm now going to pass it over to Jeremy here to talk a little bit more about what Seafood Inc. actually looks like.
Thank you so much, Megan. Yeah, so just really delving into what we see Seafood's offering. Seafood to us is a data collection and aggregation service that will predominantly be targeting the food manufacturing industry to provide them with additional value that they can then provide their consumers to give them this transparency that their consumers are wanting. One of the biggest statistics that I saw that's really stood out to me was that the plant-based protein industry is set to double in the next few years here. And with that, there's going to be more and more competition. We want our food manufacturers to be able to set themselves apart. And so that's why we decided to give these food manufacturers the data and resources necessary that they can then provide to their consumers, and so their consumers have a more transparent look at where this food is actually coming from. So how we will do this is that we will be charging about $5,000 a month we will be charging $5,000 a month to such food manufacturers as Dole and AGT Foods, and they will provide us with connections with these producers, which we will then go and collect data from. And so we actually see Seafood Inc. that provides food manufacturers a simple and affordable route to creating more transparency for their consumers. As was mentioned before, these food manufacturers simply just do not have the data and the resources necessary, and we are there to provide them with that. So just jumping right into what we want from you guys. We are looking for $100,000 for 25% of the of equity in our firm. And let me just tell you where this $100,000 will be going. There's two main places that this $100,000 will be going. The first being generating these partnerships with these food manufacturers. We need to get in the door of these food manufacturers, and some of that money that we will be asking for today is going to be doing this. In addition, data collection and aggregation is the biggest part about our company, and that's why we believe that this other part of this money will be also going towards that as well. Awesome, and we would like to open up the floor for any questions now. Barring any questions, I would just jump right into the financials, and I'll pass it over to Sagar to start discussing a few of the expenses that will be coming in year one.
I don't get it. So food manufacturers are going to pay $5,000. You're going to connect with producers and do what?
Yeah, absolutely. So from what we understood from the case is the food manufacturers are trying to make this information available. However, with the nature of their business, they don't really have the resources available to kind of move backwards and aggregate the data from the farmers that the consumers want. So the data from the farmers that these consumers are looking for are information based on, kind of sourced around the date that the bananas, for example, would be picked, how long they were stored for before they shipped out, and the other facilities that they go to along the way. So our idea is to partner kind of directly with these product manufacturers so that they can actually provide this information to consumers without having to do that added background work. So what we're doing is we're really the intermediary between the food growers and the food manufacturers, providing that data, working with the farmers very closely to provide that data to the product manufacturers as they have the connections with the consumers and they can provide that information to them, if that answers your question.
How would they provide? Are you calling each manufacturer on each SKU bananas that you receive past them? Or are they? How are the producers giving you that information and scaling that?
Definitely. So I'm actually just going to jump into the data collection. So what the data collection is actually going to be looking like is we are going to be going to the food manufacturers and getting a basic list of some of the producers that they take their goods from. And we'll be going to those producers and providing them with the hardware and the software necessary that those producers can then start to track some of this info, such as water usage, such as fertilization, also sustainability practices as well is very important to these consumers. And so these farmers can then start to simply and easily begin to put this data towards us, and we will then be offering this data to these food manufacturers.
So that sounds expensive. So you already get the financials now, $5,000 a month.
So yes, going into the financials, our expenses, as Jeremy mentioned, a lot of it goes into the program hardware development and then also hardware and software development. And so that 5,000 that would be multiplied by 12 all throughout annually. And so the program development actually incorporates us trying to find these partners, right? So the partner development program. And then we actually want this portfolio to be diverse. We don't want to just depend on one large partner and who can just say no the next day. And so that's why it's very important, large or small, that we go even to the smaller guys within the industry. And so that expense would be approximately $20,000 to $30,000 within our initial year. And then from further on in the next few years, it'll be incrementally increasing by 20%. And then also our hardware and software development costs would be approximately $80,000 from the $100,000 that we're asking, and then also incrementally increasing that each year as we go. And so for our first initial year, the total expenses actually is $300,000, and we would actually like to reduce that with some upkeep costs each year. go.
I can actually move into, so one thing you might also be wondering is you asked a little bit about how we're getting the information from the producers. So once that information gets to the product manufacturers, how is that information actually going to get to the consumers? So one thing that we're going to work very closely with these product manufacturers to do is, especially I'm going to go back to my banana example, when you buy a banana, they usually have a sticker on them. So what we're going to work with these product manufacturers to do is actually put a QR code on these stickers, and that can actually lead the consumers to, this is a potential mock-up of what the interface might look like, just kind of explaining a little bit more about the piece of produce that they're consuming, a little bit more background information, all that information that they're looking for. So if we were to partner with Dole, for example, the QR code would still be on the Dole sticker. We are completely in the background, guys, but because we are working so closely with these product manufacturers, we're going to be working closely to actually create this interface and allow them to get this up and running as soon as possible. So yeah, as you can see, this is the potential for the user interface. Of course, nothing's set in stone. As you know, this is going to be a partnership, but the harvest date, the farm bio and location, the environmental impact of the food grown, as we do understand that consumers are also getting pretty interested in the sustainability of their food choices, as well as any certifications that the growers may have, and any nutritional info. We do understand that nutritional info is readily available, especially for produce such as an apple, but we do believe with all of this other information, this is the perfect outlet for consumers to really learn everything about the food that they are that they're eating and they're putting into their bodies.
So this is a clear extra step for producers. Is there anything in it for them, like a tangible benefit, just besides transparency?
Definitely. So what we see is that when food manufacturers do well, these food producers will also do well. And that's why we believe that by streamlining the process of data collection, that these producers will want to partner with us and will want to help us and cooperate with us in getting this data and getting this data to those food manufacturers, if that answers your question.
Yeah. Also, if I might add on, something we also really learned from reading the piece is that there are, and something we just know from living in society in general, there is a huge societal shift going towards leading a more plant-based life and having a more plant-based diet. Of course, we know that. But what we also found out through this research is that a lot of foods such as apples, bananas, a lot of produce is complements to leading a plant-based diet. So sales in all produce is going to go up as well as this shift goes along. And we believe that having this interface and having this data collection for these consumers as they make this societal shift over to a plant-based diet is truly exactly what they're going to be looking for as this continues to change as we move forward into the future years. So yeah, moving forward, we also wanted to look a little bit, I'll let Sagar talk about our sensitivity analysis, going a little bit back into our finances here.
Beautiful. So looking at our price sensitivity analysis, we break even approximately in late year 3. And the reason why it looks like it's breaking even within the first or the second year is mainly because we're actually getting a negative cash flow within like our initial stage, and so that is going to be added and factored into the next upcoming year. So actual break even is approximately late in third year. And so furthermore, our customer acquisition cost. So yeah, our customer acquisition cost basically has varied upon $13,000 within the first year, and then decreasing as the years go. And so that's what we're trying to strive to do with the software and the hardware development as well. And basically, what that looks like is, again, it's like a smart device that these farmers are using, and then trying to relay that information to our partners. And I think Jeremy can actually further explain the technological aspects of that.
Just the customer acquisition cost of $13,000 is that at the ADP level, or is that at the individual farm?
That's
the
the
individual.
AG. No, that's the AG.
Okay.
Yeah. So by connecting with these large food manufacturers, that's going to connect us to a huge network of farmers. So if you were to do it on a farmer by farmer basis, of course that number would be much lower. Yeah. So going into the business as well. So as I talked about a little bit earlier with the QR codes on the different fruits and the different produce, this also gives our partners, the produce manufacturers, a huge opportunity to access data as well. So if they choose to partner with us in making this user interface, they're going to be able to track what their consumers are actually purchasing, what they're interested in learning more are able to use that data as well. So not only are we creating a data stream for ourselves and providing that to these produce manufacturers, we are providing them with the opportunity to access more and more data from these consumers who are getting more and more interested in their products.
So to go back to the budget a little bit, where is the area where you're putting money to that
So, currently, right now, we don't have that on display, but the money that's actually going to technology development is basically from the $100,000, we'd like to break up $80,000 and then split that into like the servers and then the hardware that's actually put into the information that we're trying to relay back and forth from each farm.
Yeah, and as we move into further years and actually developing the user interface with our product manufacturer, that is going to be a really hand-in-hand process. The QR code technology already exists, and it's going to be as simple as putting it on the existing Dole stickers, if that is what they choose to do with us, and then spending a couple months, maybe 8, to actually develop the user interface and make sure that all of that information is there. However, the software and the hardware that we prepare for the farmers is going to be used beforehand to kind of just to set us up for success once we reach that stage.
Definitely. So
You're assuming the farmer is bearing all the cost of the data collection then, because they have to collect, who's bearing that cost?
definitely. So we will be bearing the cost, and we will be providing these farmers with all of the technology possible. Yes. So we actually hardware expense in the expenses is for that technology to give to those farmers to track that data, as well as we will be doing semi-annual interviews with these farmers as well, to make sure that they are streamlining the process and that they don't see as much tension from their end. We do believe.
You have $80,000.
Yeah, definitely. And
So you're giving them the hardware?
yes, so we will be giving them the hardware needed to track this data. It's very simple data, stuff like water usage, stuff like fertilizer requirements, and also pesticide usage as well. It'll be very streamlined for the farmers, so they won't have to actually take too much of their time to actually input the data. And we do believe that these farmers will be willing to cooperate because we are partnering with these food manufacturers as well. And these farmers will want to continue to have that good partnership with these food manufacturers as well.
We also believe that there is a value add for the farmers, as Jeremy mentioned. We are going to be working hand in hand with them, and once the user interface is developed, consumers are actually going to be able to become familiar with the farmers who are actually producing their food. So if they were ever looking at or creating kind of a smaller market, consumers are actually going to be familiar with their products, familiar with their farm, and become more comfortable as they learn more about them. So we do believe that that's a big value add for the farmers as well.
We did look at preliminary connections with producers. Give us like
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll get into our implementation for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So this is kind of like our implementation. In the year 2020, this is what we want to do right out the door. We want to make these preliminary connections with these producers and also the food manufacturers. Dole, Sunripe, and AGT Foods are the 3 that we came up with immediately off the top of our heads. But I'm sure that we will be getting into the door of many others as well. And as we get into the door with these food manufacturers, we believe that they will provide us with a list of their farmers, and we will be going to a select few of their farmers for that data collection.
So that could require like language barriers with dealing with South America and Central America.
Definitely. So we are looking to target mostly the Canadian food producing network first. And then we will be getting into later years into the more international farmers as well. We do.
Yeah, that was maybe a bad example on my part.
Yeah. So we will be looking more for the chickpeas and the other chickpeas, legumes and stuff like that. Definitely, and so the labeling process will be slightly different for those chickpeas and other items like that. We do believe that putting that on the bag or putting that near the customer in the marketplaces will be kind of the way to mitigate that.
Yeah, there also might be a negotiation process between the produce manufacturer and potentially the retailers. So if it is not able to actually go on the packaging, we might actually just have a little sticker set up beside where the products are located, so customers can go there and scan it before they actually purchase the product as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, Yeah, so I'd just like to just go through a few risks and mitigations with this business model. Yeah, so the first risk that we personally came up with is if these food manufacturers were a little weary about us, a little unwilling to partner right away. So one of the mitigations that we kind of found for that is we will be going directly to some of these farmers, directly to some of these Canadian farmers, to start collecting that data before we go to these food manufacturers. And then we can start getting into the door of these food manufacturers once we have that preliminary data already available. In addition to this, another risk that we found is that if the farmers lack the know-how for that data collection, we do understand that farmers might not be the most technologically savvy industry in Canada, and one of the mitigations to that is to provide additional support and tutorials. We have budgeted in a few different employees in second year and third year. That will be sole task is to connect with these farmers and to make sure that these farmers are happy and content with the data collection process.
Yeah, absolutely. So just going back a little bit to the beginning, we got pretty technical there. So I just want to go back to the true reason why we started our business here today. So as I mentioned previously, this information is available, but it's available for those who have the resources to pay for it. The average consumer needs this information if they're going to be making healthy decisions, knowledge-informed decisions as they move forward. We at Seafood are ready to grow forward, and today we are here asking you if you're ready to join us. Thank you for your time.